Hello everyone and welcome to Rudy's Retro Intel. On today's show we're going to be looking at converting a Raspberry Pi, in this case it's a Pi 4 mini computer, into a retro gaming system. So stick around and we'll poke around. Okay, to start off our project, we're going to need a Raspberry Pi 4. This is the Model B. It has 4 gigs of memory on here, and it has HDMI. It's a 64-bit, 4 megs of memory. It's got 2 HDMI ports on it, 2 USB 3.0, 2 USB 2.0 ports, gigabit Ethernet. It's got the 802.111b, GN, and AC wireless, and Bluetooth 5.0, and it needs a power adapter, which is not included, but it's got everything. I mean, this thing is pretty neat. It's got pretty much whatever you want. And here is the unit itself. So here is the Ethernet port, and you have your USB ports here. You have the audio jack out. You have video and power, and you also have a place to put in a SD card here. So you can pop your SD card here and yeah, apply power and off you go. So let's see how we get the software for this Pi and install it, and then we'll plug it in and get it going. Alright, so before we can start the Raspberry Pi project, we need to obviously need a Raspberry Pi, but we also need the software. So go to the Raspberry Pi website and you download this program called Raspberry Pi Imager. This will allow us to install the different operating systems and features you want on your Raspberry Pi. And there's a version for Windows, which I am using right now, and there's a Mac and a Linux version. So I've already downloaded the Imager, so let's look at that next. With the Imager software installed and running, we're going to go through these different settings to get it going. At this point, make sure you've plugged in your USB key or SD card with the SD card reader into your computer, and make sure it's nothing on there that you want, because it will erase the whole device. So we're going to pick our device. It'll erase, your USB or SD card. So for device, we're going to pick, it's the Raspberry Pi 4, and then click next. And then here, operating system. Now there's all kinds of different cool things we can pick, but what we want is this emulation and game OS. So we've chosen that, and the one we're looking at here is called Recall Box. We're going to click on Recall Box, and this is for the Raspberry Pi 4. Click on that, hit next. We're going to pick your storage device. I've checked this on so that it doesn't pick other drives other than SD card or USB. I have my SD card already formatted, so I'm going to be using a USB key instead for this video. So we click next, and then it's giving a summary, and it's going to start writing to the device, and it's giving you a warning that it's going to be erasing the device. So I understand, and we let it go. This is going to take a few moments, so with the power of video editing, I'm going to fast forward most of this. With the software being installed on your device, I've chosen a case. I want to have a fun case for the unit, and I got this Geek Pi Retro Gaming NES Pi. It's $20. It's pretty good. It comes with a case, fan, and 2 controllers, and some heat sinks, and a screwdriver. So yeah, get that, and it'll make it a lot more enjoyable later. So now with everything installed, let's go back to the bench and get things connected. Okay, here I've installed the Raspberry Pi into the case. It's basically just 4 screws, and the fan connects to the headers on here. The manual that comes with it shows you exactly where to plug in the wires for the fan. So the red wire goes onto pin 2 and the black wire goes onto pin 3. So make sure you read your manuals. I know people don't like reading manuals, but in this case, know where to plug in the fan. So the fan is plugged in. I have the SD card in here already. So that will boot the operating system. Now I've also configured the software to use my USB key for the ROMs and other emulation, so that it's just easier to take in and out as opposed to having to dig this out all the time, the SD card, and then put in the reader, put in my computer. This way, just unplug the USB key and plug it in. We're good. The packaging does come with heat sinks. I put a bigger one on this one, but it's important to put the heat sinks on so as the board gets hot and it's in a case. With the heat sinks, the fans will be helping it cool down even better. So ensure you put your heat sinks on. The case comes with this little door that opens up. It's actually quite neat. So you might have to play with it, because when it came, it's very tight to open. After a while, it's a little easier to do. So the case just kind of snaps on. There's no screws or anything for it. So there we go. There's our unit. And open that up. Now I'm going to plug in my USB key, which has my ROMs. Now I'm not going to show you where you can get ROMs at. You can figure it out on your own. Just go to your favorite web pages and download ROMs. We're going to plug in. This is the audio jack. This is the HDMI adapter, and that goes in the way. So I have a HDMI. The mini HDMI to the full size, and then power, and then we're going to plug in the controllers. Now the unit comes with 2 controllers, and they're both USB, which is great, so you could use it for this or something else like your computer or laptop, whatever. They're pretty good. Yeah, it's a knockoff, but quality seems to be okay. I don't know, the buttons and everything work just fine. So yeah, plug it in, and then we're going to power it up. Now you're going to hear a bit of hum from these cheap Dell speakers that I have hooked up right now. I'll have to work on something for that later, but let's power it up and see what happens. Okay, there we go. And this is the boot up. So I got the HDMI to work. So with your controller, you can just press up and down, and there are different. Before we go there, I'm going to go to the menu. So we can hit start, and you can go here. There's also a Kodi Media Center, so if you want, you can set that up in here. But I'm going to make some changes here. I'm going to go to sounds. Music volume. This is the music that's playing while you're waiting. I'm gonna turn that down and then close, and then from here we can see there's different emulators. So there's the Amiga 600, the Amstrad, Apple II, 2GS, Atari 2600, 5200, 7800, 800, Commodore 64, ColecoVision, Game Gear, Game Boy Advance. Like, there's so much on here. And television, MAME, Sega. So there are a lot of different emulators that you can use and play with. Let's pick this one. So I picked this one. I'm not going to go through how to set up the unit to use your external USB key. It's all documented. It takes a bit of time and a few moments to set that up, but from there you can just go to your favorite places, download the games, and and go from there. Now you can just pick, as you add ROMs to the USB key, it will detect it and show up on your screen. So let's pick up something here. I don't know. It's got really good splash screens. You can use a Raspberry Pi 3, but on these games it'll work fine. On the other types of emulators it's a bit slow, so get a 4. And let's try this game. Press start. If you press both the start and the select buttons, it'll bring you back to the menu. So we can go back here and pick up something else. We can use the A key, the A button to go back. There's the Auric. There's so many different emulations on this thing. Super Nintendo, the Thomson. Like, I've never seen a Thomson. I have a Thomson computer, but I've never seen the emulator for it. The tiny Vectrex. So let's pick Vectrex, because the reason why I want to pick Vectrex is because I want to build a Vectrex emulator, and playing around with it I found that I can do this on the Pi. So let's take a look on here. I'll pick up something. I don't know. Let's pick this game here. I'm not sure if the sound's coming through. It's a little low. And we're gonna pick I don't know, I'm gonna pick something else. Oh, let's pick 2600. The end. Because we're getting close to the end of the video, so let's play the end. There we go. Now you can probably hear it. I want to go to the Apple II, and here we can actually install games, and you can also install software. So for example, you can go to the if you put DOS on here, or Pro DOS, you can actually boot it to the console and then play with it like it's a computer. So let me just show you quickly how that's done, and we'll go from there. Alright, the next thing I wanted to show you, this is really neat. So I have on my USB device here, my USB key, I have my ROMs, and I've also copied Apple diskettes on there. So now we can go to the Apple II computer, and we can go through the list of software, programs, games, or whatever. But as you see, I have my keyboard attached. So if I go down to I made some software, so let's boot that up and see what happens. Oh, look at this. We get the Apple screen, and we have it booting up into basic. And let's take a look here. Oops. Yep. And we can run this. We can let's see, load perf run perf test. Let's see if this works. I don't remember what this is about. Oh, I know. This is going to check performance. We don't want to run all this all day, so let's just list it. Anyways, I wanted to show you that you can actually use this emulator to run emulate actual computers. So in this case, we're doing the 2+. Now, if I switch back to here, I take the buttons here and I press them both, it's going to eventually come back to the regular menu. Well, that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun putting it together. Not too expensive. The Raspberry Pi 4 is a great little computer. I had this one sitting around. I figured I'll just use it for something. Also, the case, $20. Not too bad. So hopefully you liked the video. Give it a thumbs up. Subscribe, all the YouTube stuff. And we'll see you in the next one. Take care.